See ya, and I wouldn't want to be here.
Which is such an important film, right? It marked the beginning, in many ways, of new black cinema.
So a scuffle broke out. And they later on the news were saying, well, New Jack City's causing riots. What movie were they there to see?
New Jack City's release came with a lot of controversies and violence, but there were still more that the fans never figured out. And now, the movie's cast are finally revealing them.
Acting is make-believe. It's act. Anybody in here, we all have had enough experience with the cops, you can act like a cop. To you. But dig this, playing a cop and playing a gangster is the exact same acting.
From behind-the-scene clashes to frictions over the way the movie depicted gangsters, there were events the audience never knew about. This is about everything the cast revealed. What were those clashes about? And who was involved? Let's get into it. When New Jack City came out on March 8, 1991, people were very excited. This was not just another movie. It was the first time a black-led gangster film had been made like this. It showed what life was like during the crack epidemic in America. The movie starred Wesley Snipes as a dealer named Nino Brown.
See ya, and I wouldn't want to be here.
Nino was smart, powerful, and dangerous. Many people couldn't wait to see this movie. But what was supposed to be a proud moment for black cinema turned into something dark. Things quickly got out of hand, and real-life violence followed the movie wherever it was shown. Not long after the movie premiered, trouble started. Across the United States, fights and shootings happened in different movie theaters. Instead of people quietly watching and learning from the film, some brought guns and bad intentions. In one of the worst cases, a young man named Gabriel Williams was shot and killed in New York City. He was only 19 years old. It happened right outside a theater that was showing New Jack City. What started as a simple argument inside the theater ended in gunfire outside. More than 100 shots were fired. Some people said they heard bullets from a machine gun. Everyone ran out screaming, trying to find safety. Police later arrested an 18-year-old named Sean Curry for the shooting.
And so a scuffle broke out. And they later on the news were saying, well, New Jack City's causing riots. What movie were they there to see?
This event shocked the country. People began to wonder, was the movie too much? Was it just showing how bad and crime were? Or was it actually making things worse? Was it helping people understand the truth? Or was it making the violence look cool? Things got even worse in Los Angeles, California. At a movie theater in a part of town called Westwood, over 1,500 people showed up to see New Jack City. But the theater had sold too many tickets. Many people couldn't get in. That made the crowd angry. Hundreds of people started yelling and pushing. Then the situation turned wild. People broke windows, stole from nearby stores, and began fighting with the police. Officers in riot gear had to come and break up the crowd. The riot lasted more than 2 hours. By the end of the night, 9 people were arrested and local businesses were damaged. Store owners were left with broken glass and stolen goods. For movie studios in Hollywood, this was a scary moment. For many years, big studios didn't want to make movies with mostly black actors. They believed those films wouldn't make money. But New Jack City was proving that wrong. It was making a lot of money and had a lot of fans. Sadly, the violence made some people say, maybe this kind of movie is too dangerous. The message in the movie got lost in all the fighting. Trouble didn't just happen in New York and Los Angeles. In Las Vegas, things also got out of control. During one screening of New Jack City, a huge fight broke out inside the theater. Police had to come in and break it up. They arrested 15 people that night. A police officer named Sergeant. William Reed said the movie seemed to bring gangs together. He said, "It's the type of movie that will draw the gangs to it." That's what other police officers across the country were also saying. The movie wasn't just attracting regular fans, it was also pulling in people who lived the same violent life the movie was warning about. New Jack City was supposed to teach people a lesson. It was based on real events and real people, like the kingpin Nicky Barnes. The director, Mario Van Peebles, wanted to show how were destroying black communities. The story was meant to be a warning, not something to copy, but the message didn't land for everyone. Some people didn't see it as a warning. Instead, they saw Nino Brown as a hero. He was rich, powerful, and always had control. To some, that looked cool. After all the violence, many people blamed the movie. Community leaders, lawmakers, and even some people in the movie industry said maybe the film went too far. They thought it showed gang life in a way that made it seem exciting or fun. Critics said that instead of making Nino Brown look like the bad guy, the movie made him look like someone to admire. But the people who made the movie didn't agree with that at all. The director, Mario Van Peebles, said the movie wasn't about gangs. He said it wasn't the movie's fault that people acted violently. Wesley Snipes, who played Nino Brown, was also upset. He didn't take the role to make gangs look good. He took the role to show the damage that caused in black neighborhoods. He wanted people to see how tear families apart and bring violence to the streets. Still, no matter what the filmmakers said, the movie had a strong effect on people. Some viewers didn't see the difference between the story and real life. They didn't understand the movie was fiction. The early 1990s were already a very hard time in America. The crack epidemic had destroyed many communities. Gangs were everywhere. People were poor, scared, and angry. Police didn't trust the people, and the people didn't trust the police. These problems were already happening before New Jack City came out. So maybe the movie didn't cause the violence. Maybe it just showed what was already happening. Maybe it held up a mirror and said, "Look, this is what life has become." The film was honest and raw. It didn't sugarcoat anything. But because it felt so real, some people forgot it was just a story. They couldn't tell the difference between Nino and the real lords in their cities.
But once he got the script to the movie New Jack City on Jesus, boy, the black Jesus, the real Jesus, not the white Jesus.
They don't. It's like Beirut. They become living hostage.
One of the biggest problems was Nino Brown himself. Wesley Snipes played him so well that people couldn't stop talking about him.
We do a read-through, and he sits at the head of the table and starts reading Nino Brown, and me and Ice-T look at each other like, oh, we're about to be in a hit movie.
Nino was smart, calm, and always one step ahead. He wore expensive clothes, gave powerful speeches, and ran his empire like a businessman. He was a villain, but some people saw him as a role model.
Wow.
Like, we knew it at the read-through.
You knew it.
That we were in the presence of a god.
Wow.
Like, oh.
Wesley.
That's where the real danger came in. When the bad guy becomes the person others want to be, the message gets lost. What made Nino Brown scary was that he felt real. He was based on someone real. His story came from real places, real pain, and real crime. That's why the movie felt so powerful, and why the violence around it was so heartbreaking. People weren't just watching a movie, they were watching a life they already knew. Many people think Nino Brown was just a made-up character in the movie New Jack City. But the truth is, he was based on a real man named Nicky Barnes.
8 years ago, Nick was the scum of the earth in terms of court, being in the courtroom in Judge Workers' court. And then 3 years ago, he became Robin Hood because he was telling.
Barnes was a drug lord from Harlem, New York. He became very powerful in the 1970s, especially in the heroin business. Just like Nino Brown in the movie, Barnes made millions of dollars selling drugs. He was rich, feared, and had a strong hold over his territory. People were scared of him, but many also admired how much money and power he had. Nicky didn't hide who he was. He liked being in the spotlight. He wore expensive suits, drove flashy cars, and always showed off his gold chains and diamonds. He wanted the world to see how successful he was. In 1977, he even appeared on the cover of the New York Times Magazine with the headline, Mr. Untouchable. That's a name he gave himself because he thought no one could stop him. He felt proud of that name and acted like he couldn't be touched by the law or anyone else. Barnes didn't see himself as just a dealer. He thought of himself as a businessman, running a big company. That's the same way Nino Brown acted in New Jack City. He called his drug business an empire. He had rules, workers, and a system. But just like in the movie, Barnes was brought down by the people close to him. Some of his own partners got angry with him and told the police everything. That's how the government was able to arrest him and send him to prison.
But he did start to cooperate.
Yes, he did.
And he told on everybody.
Yes, he did.
I heard there was a $1 million price on his head.
Yes, it was.
Based on his cooperation, how many people got locked up?
Oh, man, I couldn't tell you. Innumerable. There were a lot of people. A lot of people got locked up. I don't know, maybe 20, 30.
Okay.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, so Nicky Barnes.
When New Jack City came out, people quickly saw the link between Nino Brown and Nicky Barnes. The story felt very real because it was based on true events. But a big problem happened after the movie was released. Instead of being scared of Nino Brown, many young people wanted to be like him. They thought he was cool, smart, and strong. They didn't see him as a bad guy. They saw him as someone they wanted to copy. The movie was supposed to teach a lesson. It was meant to show that being greedy and violent leads to a bad ending. Nino Brown was not supposed to be a hero. He was a villain. He hurt people, sold and destroyed lives. But he wore nice clothes, spoke with confidence, and acted like a boss. This made many young viewers forget about his crimes and only focus on how powerful he looked.
Nino, please! Oh, don't start bitching up now. You don't have my product, and you don't have my...
The hip-hop world also started to celebrate Nino. Rappers began mentioning him in songs. Fans repeated his quotes from the movie. His style, like fancy suits and big gold chains, became popular. Many people thought he was someone to look up to. They didn't see him as the warning that the filmmakers wanted him to be. They saw him as someone who made it out of the struggle and became rich and powerful. This worried many people in the community. Leaders, teachers, and even some actors from the film said the movie sent the wrong message. They believed it made dealers look too good. They wanted young people to see that crime hurts families and destroys neighborhoods. But instead, Nino Brown became a symbol of success to some people. Critics said that movies like this made black men look like criminals instead of showing them in a positive light. Even Wesley didn't really like the character he played. Wesley Snipes, who played Nino Brown, was shocked by how people reacted. In interviews, he said he never wanted people to admire Nino. He thought it was clear that Nino was the bad guy, but Snipes also understood why people liked the character. Nino was smart, confident, and seemed to always be in control. These were things many young men from poor areas wanted for themselves. It was easy to forget that Nino was also a killer and a dealer. The way people loved Nino Brown made Hollywood rethink how it shows black crime bosses in movies. New Jack City was supposed to show the dangers of drugs and crime, but it ended up making a new kind of movie legend. Even though the goal was to warn people, it made some viewers want to live like Nino Brown. Wesley Snipes later said he wouldn't want to play a role like that again. He knows now that movie characters can have a big impact, especially on young people. He's proud of the movie but also understands the problems it caused. But Snipes wasn't the only one who faced this kind of issue. Ice-T, the famous rapper, also had a hard time after the movie came out.
I was scared, Nori. I was scared. I thought, like I said, I thought it was career.
He played a police officer named Scotty Appleton. Many fans were confused and upset.
These are people you squash and kill with no retribution.
Ice-T was known for rapping about not trusting the police. So when he played a cop, people thought he had changed sides. This caused a lot of backlash, even though he was just acting.
Acting is make-believe. It's act. Anybody in here, we all have had enough experience with the cops, you can act like a cop.
Ice-T was criticized. At the time, Ice-T was not just another rapper. He was known for being bold, loud, and unafraid to speak his mind. He talked about things many people didn't want to hear. Things like life in poor neighborhoods, police abuse, and crime. His music wasn't about parties or fun. It was about real problems in the streets. Songs like 6 in the Morning.
6 in the morning, police at my door. Fresh Adidas squeak across the bathroom floor.
And Colors.
Wanna get rid of gangs? It's gonna take a lot of work. But people don't understand the size.
Painted a clear picture of how hard life could be in dangerous neighborhoods. Later, his song Cop Killer made headlines because it was very direct in its anger toward the police. That song caused a lot of trouble, and many people, especially in government, wanted it banned. Ice-T became a symbol of rebellion, someone who wasn't afraid to say what was wrong with the system. So when people heard that Ice-T was going to play a police officer in the movie New Jack City, it shocked everyone. Many fans couldn't believe it. They asked, how could a man who speaks out against the police turn around and pretend to be one in a movie? To a lot of people, it felt like he was turning his back on everything he stood for. They felt hurt and confused. Some even called him a sellout, which means someone who gives up their beliefs just to make money or become more famous. Back in the early 1990s, rap music and the police did not mix well. There was a lot of mistrust. Black communities were facing problems like police brutality, unfair treatment, and racial profiling. People were tired of being treated like criminals just because of their skin color or where they lived. That anger came out in the music. Groups like NWA had already made songs like F the Police, showing how strong the dislike for law enforcement had become.
In the case of NWA versus the police department, prosecuting attorneys are.
Ice-T was one of the loudest voices in that fight. So seeing him dressed as a cop on the big screen was confusing and painful for some fans. They didn't know what to think anymore. Was Ice-T still with them, or had he switched sides? Ice-T understood the reaction. He knew people would talk. In interviews, he admitted that he expected the backlash, but he also explained why he took the role. It wasn't because he wanted to support the police or make them look good. It was because he believed in the story the movie was trying to tell. New Jack City wasn't about making police look like heroes. It was about showing how drugs were destroying communities and how someone needed to stop it. Ice-T saw the movie as a way to shine a light on a serious issue, even if it meant playing a role that didn't match his music. What a lot of people don't know is that Ice-T didn't even think he could act.
Acting is make-believe. It's act. Anybody in here, we all have had enough experience with the cops, you can act like a cop.
He had never done it before. He wasn't trained in acting, and he didn't see himself as someone who could be in movies. At the time, he was known for being a tough rapper with real stories from the street. He wasn't sure if he could remember lines or show emotions on camera. He even thought that the idea of him being in a movie was some kind of joke. He couldn't believe Hollywood was seriously considering him. But the director of New Jack City, Mario Van Peebles, saw something in Ice-T. He didn't want a polished, fancy actor who went to film school. He wanted someone who had actually lived the life the movie was showing. Van Peebles wanted realness, and Ice-T had that. He knew what it felt like to grow up around gangs, crime, and police. That made him perfect for the role, even if he didn't know how to act in the traditional sense. At first, Ice-T tried to back out. He told Van Peebles, "I don't know how to act." But the director gave him a simple answer: just be yourself. That one sentence gave Ice-T the confidence he needed. He didn't have to pretend to be someone else. He just had to be honest and real, the same way he was in his music.
This ain't business. This is personal.
Even though people had doubts, Ice-T surprised everyone with his performance. He didn't just do a good job, he did a great job. He played Scotty Appleton, an undercover cop who was angry about how were ruining his community. Ice-T showed emotion, intensity, and truth in his acting. He made the character believable because he brought his real-life experience into the role. When he had scenes with Nino, the drug dealer in the film, you could feel the anger and pain in his voice.
If it means my life, I will testify.
Come on, Scotty. We can't go out like this.
This movie was a turning point for Ice-T. People realized he wasn't just a rapper trying to make extra money in movies. He had real talent. After New Jack City, more acting jobs came his way. Eventually, he landed his most famous role, Detective Finn Tutuola on Law & Order, SVU. He's been on that show for over 20 years now. The funny thing is, most of his roles since then have been cops. Ice-T jokes about it sometimes. He says it's crazy that he built a music career rapping against the police, but now plays them on TV. But even in those roles, he brings something different. His characters are usually street smart, tough, and willing to fight the system from the inside. One reason New Jack City made such a big impact was because it didn't hide anything. The movie showed the harsh truth about the crack epidemic.
And in our Spotlight investigation tonight, Crack Inc., the big business and big money of the most potent form of crack. Crack is a plague of the inner city.
It showed murder, drug use, families breaking apart, and kids being affected by addiction. It wasn't a clean or easy movie to watch. Some people saw it as a wake-up call. They felt it showed the truth about what was happening in black communities.
Among the most remarkable examples is the notorious Chambers Brothers gang of Detroit. Billy Joe, 26, Otis, 20, Willie, 34, and the ringleader, Larry, 38.
But others were worried. They thought the movie made the lifestyle look cool. The main villain, Nino Brown, wore expensive clothes, drove fancy cars, and lived in luxury. Some young viewers may have thought that being a drug dealer was something to look up to. Critics feared that the movie would give people the wrong idea, especially those who didn't understand the deeper message. Instead of being scared by the violence, some people saw the power and wanted it. One scene that shocked many viewers was the wedding murder. Nino kills his own friend at a public event, showing just how cold and dangerous he really was. This scene made some people feel the movie had gone too far. They wondered if such violent content should even be shown in theaters. Others believed it was important to show the real damage were doing to people. The movie opened up a big debate. Was it too violent, or was it just being honest? As time passed, people started talking about making a sequel to New Jack City. Hollywood loves to bring back old movies, especially if they were big hits. But Wesley Snipes, who played Nino Brown, wants nothing to do with a sequel. He made that very clear in an interview. When asked about returning for another movie, he said, "I'm not associated with it. I have nothing to do with it at all." Snipes explained why he feels this way. To him, New Jack City was a movie made for a specific time. It was about a real crisis that was happening back then, the crack epidemic. The story was powerful because it was based on what was really going on. Now, that time has passed. Snipes believes there's no reason to bring it back. One of his biggest concerns is that a new movie might make drug dealing look cool again. He doesn't want to see that. He said he was asked to be part of the reboot, and he turned it down. Snipes said, "I don't like the idea of recreating the drug culture." For what? He feels like the story has already been told. Making a new version might mess up the original message. Snipes also knows that not everyone understood the first movie the way it was meant. Some people looked up to Nino Brown instead of seeing him as a villain. That worries him. He doesn't want a new movie to confuse people even more. He feels it's better to leave New Jack City as it is and not risk ruining its legacy.
New Jack City, which is such an important film, right? It marked the beginning, in many ways, of new black cinema.
The original New Jack City was more than just a film. It was a cultural event. It told a story that needed to be heard and made people talk. It showed how were hurting communities and how hard it was to fight back. But it also started arguments. Some thought it helped people understand the dangers of. Others thought it made drug dealing look fun and easy. Even now, people still talk about the movie. It made a big impact that didn't end when the credits rolled. The violence in theaters, the arguments in the media, and the reaction from fans all proved that this movie touched something real. Decades later, we're still asking the same questions. Did the movie help or hurt? Did it warn people or tempt them? Whether you think New Jack City was good or bad, one thing is clear: it started conversations that still matter today. And Ice-T's role in that movie, as shocking as it was at the time, helped open new doors and gave him a second career as an actor. From rapper to movie star to TV detective, Ice-T's journey is one nobody saw coming.